Good evening, I'm Annabelle Tiffin. Welcome to North West Tonight. Our top story: Liverpool's baby hospice, Zoe's Place, is saved after an incredible fundraising campaign.
We were like, I don't know, we're going to raise all that. But we did. Liverpool have actually done it.
But the Charity Commission says it will now look at how the hospice got into difficulties. Also tonight, in the first case of its kind, 2 survivors of the Manchester Arena bomb win damages for harassment against a conspiracy theorist. Photographed a century ago, the Lancashire Veterans Village, hoping to recapture this moment in time. Parin takes the plunge for Pudsey, the finale of BBC Local Radio's 1,000-mile challenge.
And for some of us, like Amy saw in Brabbins Park, Marple Bridge, spells of sunshine, not for everyone, but some did. Are we going to see more? When will the sun fully return? Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
There are celebrations in Liverpool tonight after a massive fundraising campaign has saved the city's baby hospice. £5 million has been raised in 30 days for Zoe's Place, which provides vital care for sick babies and children. Tonight, the Charity Commission praised the generosity of businesses and people, but added once the future of Zoe's Place is more settled, the Commission will consider whether there are lessons to be learned about how the hospice got into difficulties. Katie Barnfield has spent the day at the charity.
Tears of relief as Zoe's Place is saved. Just last month, staff at the Liverpool hospice were told it would have to close. But after a massive public effort, they can now continue supporting the babies and families who rely on their care.
But my legs are actually shaking. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm so happy because without it, I don't know what we would have done. Some of us can't travel too far to go to another hospice, and then this is like a second home to us anyway. So I'm so happy, I can't even put it into words, I'm emotional.
It's taken weeks of hard work to get to this point, the team here needing to raise £5 million in just 30 days to keep this hospice running. But with the help of everyone from local school children to celebrities and big businesses and even donations from around the world, they've done it.
We turned on the phones at 8 o'clock this morning and the first call that come through was from Australia. Someone giving a donation. It's gone so much further than everyone ever anticipated it. But it's just seeing how much people care about the children and the families as much as we do.
Tonight I'm doing a gig for Zoe's Place.
John Bishop was one of the stars who got involved, putting on a charity show with other famous comedians.
It's not something that the city of Liverpool wants to lose, and so everyone has come out of the woodwork to support, and it's been brilliant. But it's also a testament to the work that they do, that people recognise how important it is.
What have you got in there?
41 staff members were set to lose their jobs at the end of this year as the lease on this building is ending. But now they have the money to move to a new site.
We've got a building in mind which is in West Derby Village, so that's very exciting. We've had loads of school kids knocking on the door, giving us their pocket money, you know, doing all kinds of activities in schools, and you know, it's overwhelming what people have done. It's Liverpool for you. A clever girl.
For families like Steph and her daughter Robin, having this support makes a huge difference to their lives.
Robin's got spina bifida and she's paralysed from the waist down. She has to be cathetered every 3 hours. So when obviously it was starting, in Zoe's, like you worry because the catheter and part, and because I knew they were all nurses, I knew that she'd be safe, and they all love the children like they're their own, and I think they're all so special, like you just wouldn't find that anywhere else.
The staff here say they will be forever grateful for a community that came together and helped them when they needed it most. Katie Barnfield, BBC North West Tonight in Liverpool.
Good news. Next tonight, 2 survivors of the Manchester Arena bombing have been awarded more than £20,000 in damages, each against a former TV producer who claimed the attack was staged. Martin Hibbert and his daughter Eve both suffered life-changing injuries in 2017. They sued Richard Hall, who said millions of people believed a lie about the attack. Andy Gill reports from the High Court in London.
Martin Hibbert arrived at court today knowing the judge had already ruled that Richard Hall had harassed him and his daughter by claiming the Manchester attack was staged. Today's hearing was about what sanction Mr. Hall should face. Richard Hall, here at an earlier hearing, will have to pay damages totalling £45,000. But Mr. Hibbert told me this case was never about money.
What this was about was bringing him down in public in front of his own followers. That's what I've done. But I think the nature of the award, you know, he's you know, we probably won't see it, but it's going to put him in a lot of difficulty for a lot of years, and that's what it's about. But what it also does, it sets a precedent. So this is a landmark victory, but it's a landmark case. 22
people died when Salman Abedi detonated a bomb at an Ariana Grande concert, and hundreds were injured. Martin Hibbert suffered a spinal cord injury. Eve Hibbert suffered severe brain damage. But in books and videos, Richard Hall said several of those who died were living abroad or were dead before the attack. He filmed Eve outside her home to try to prove his ideas. Mrs. Justice Stein said Richard Hall's account of what happened at Manchester Arena was preposterous and untrue. Though she accepted, he continued to believe it was true. She said Martin and Eve Hibbert were vulnerable and the harassment they'd suffered had been prolonged, serious and targeted. The judge also imposed an injunction on Richard Hall aimed at stopping him from repeating his harassment of the Hibberts. But after the hearing, he was unrepentant. Mr. Hall could also have to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds towards legal costs. Martin Hibbert said he hopes today's judgment sends a message to conspiracy theorists that they can't ignore all acceptable evidence and harass innocent people. Andy Gill, BBC North West Tonight at the Royal Courts of Justice.
Let's get a roundup of some of the other day's news. An Iranian national who called himself the best smuggler has been jailed for 17 years after arranging small boat crossings from his home in Preston. Amanj Hassanzadeh was convicted of 3 counts of facilitating illegal immigration at Preston Crown Court. The 34-year-old organised 3 crossings of Kurdish migrants from France to the UK last year, but the National Crime Agency believe he was involved in many more.
Hassanzadeh ran a network of social media accounts through which he advertised his services. Migrants got in touch and then ultimately sought to make passage to the UK. Removing him from circulation will have a significant impact on the way his organised crime group operated.
100,000 packs of illegal cigarettes and hundreds of illegal vapes have been seized from an empty commercial property in Oswaldtwistle in Lancashire. Police say the items had retail value of more than £1.5 million. Cheshire East Council has been fined £500,000 after a man was hit and killed by a large tree branch in a park in Wilmslow. 48-year-old Christopher Hall was struck while he was walking his dog in 2020. The Health and Safety Executive said another large branch fell off the tree in 2019, and this incident should have acted as a wake-up call for the council to assess the tree to see whether it posed a further future risk. A painting by an AI robot of the World War II codebreaker Alan Turing has sold for £800,000 at auction. Alan Turing, who lived in Manchester, was a pioneer of computer science and known as the father of artificial intelligence. It's the first artwork made by a humanoid robot artist. The parents of a man from Widnes who died at a private mental health hospital hope that the government's planned overhaul of the Care Quality Commission will improve outcomes for mental health patients. Liam McGennity took his life at St Mary's Hospital in Warrington in 2021. An inquest earlier this year found neglect had contributed to his death. His family say the regulator, the CQC, should have done more to improve services there over many years. Mairead Smith reports.
That's when we were in America.
Liam McGennity's parents are looking back on a life lost. Their son was a talented musician and had a first-class honours degree. But this time, 4 years ago, Liam was in a mental health crisis. He was sectioned under the Mental Health Act and his family hoped he would get the care he needed, but say his subsequent move to an NHS bed at a private mental health unit led to his death.
We obviously miss him a lot. Think of him every hour. Never, ever, ever had any anger towards him, just love, sympathy, guilt, because we didn't get him out soon enough.
Liam McGennity was 29 when he took his life at St Mary's Hospital in Warrington. An inquest earlier this year found neglect had contributed to his death.
We were sold on this private hospital 4-bed ward that turned out to be a converted ward within a medium secure unit, which was completely against what Liam should be, and that was picked up by Liam's psychologist during the inquest because it was like a prison.
Liam McGennity should have been on one-to-one observations when he died. This picture shows the member of staff who should have been watching him was reading outside the room instead. His family say the Care Quality Commission should have been aware of the hospital's failings.
The CQC had inspected St Mary's 6 or 7 times within the space from 2019 to 2022. They repeatedly identified safety as inadequate or needs improvement. They repeatedly picked up that leadership needed improvement, yet they did nothing. So for me, the CQC ultimately is responsible.
The CQC say Liam McGennity's case didn't meet the threshold for a criminal investigation, but say of the 10 inspections of St Mary's Hospital since 2016, CQC has taken enforcement action at 6 inspections, including issuing warning notices. The service at its last inspection was rated as good. Elysium Healthcare, who run the unit, say in the 3 years following Liam's death, detailed action plans have been fully embedded to address the issues highlighted during the inquest, something that Liam's dad disputes.
They've not changed. We've got people, patients telling us it's not changed. That makes me really angry that our vulnerable people are not getting the improvements and the lessons learned to prevent repeats.
The government has promised an overhaul of the Care Quality Commission. The McGennitys hope speaking about the loss of their son will improve outcomes for others.
If we could do something to save one life, that would be great. If we can make a change to help others more than that, that would be just fantastic. Listen to people who've had the experiences in mental health institutions and put a focus on mental health equal to that on medical.
Mairead Smith, BBC Northwest Tonight, Witness.
Now, a sports group for people with disabilities on the Fylde coast, which started with just 8 people during the pandemic, has now grown to help hundreds of people. Now, the volunteers at the Together We Can Do sessions at Blackpool Sports Centre in Stanley Park hope to expand their activities to help even more people. Phil Chapman went along.
Lee saved more than just goals here at Blackpool Sports Centre. He saved himself from a life largely confined to his house and now has a large circle of friends and supporters who gather here for the Together We Can Do sports sessions.
Brought Lee's confidence on 4 years ago when we moved here. He never went out of the house. He doesn't like going places which is crowded, and this is a big breakthrough for him. So
I love meeting new friends here and play football. Got a lot of new friends, getting out of the house and all that.
Our main aims are to get disabled adults into sport and social activities and get them participating on a regular basis. We currently run sessions in Fylde, Wyre and in Blackpool, and we've been lucky enough to secure some funding from the National Lottery Community Fund, which is a 5-year funding programme which now allows us to expand our operation in terms of the types of sport we deliver. And in terms of the communities we can reach. We're hoping to reach a wider audience over the next 5 years.
Jenny is the co-founder of the sessions, which started during the COVID lockdowns as Zoom meetings of just a few people before transforming into the active physical sessions they are today for hundreds of people.
From when we first started, we had 8 members turn up, and today it's 160 plus.
Yeah, it gives me more confidence to look and take my time and focus.
I started going to the netball that they do here, and it really helped with my arms to move them, and also just being able to achieve something.
And the volunteers are always keen to hear from more people to help them out as the sessions here go from strength to strength.
Together we can do.
Phil Chapman, BBC Northwest Tonight, Blackpool.
Brilliant. Right, it's sport time. Manchester United's new boss, Ruben Amorim, arrives on Monday, and he'll be impressed, I think, won't he, Richard, by the performance of particularly of one player last night.
He will, Annabelle, yes. Amad Diallo, who scored both goals in United's 2-0 win over the Greek champions PAOK in the Europa League last night. It gives a shot in the arm to United's chances of sealing a top-8 finish in the competition.
First European home win after 1 year. We addressed that in the dressing room, and it was time to change that, you know, so we did. The players did very well doing so.
United face Leicester in the Premier League on Sunday, with our 3 other top-flight teams in action tomorrow. Everton at West Ham and Manchester City travelling to Brighton.
I don't think they get carried away at all by us being top of the league at the moment, because they know how small the margins are when it comes to our results, and also how small the margins are when you look at the amount of points we are ahead of the other teams.
In the Championship, Burnley stay 4th in the table after a 0-0 draw at West Brom. In the Women's Super League, Manchester City have the chance to extend their 1-point lead at the top of the table at home to Spurs tonight. The Blues are unbeaten in both the WSL and Champions League so far in this campaign. City's women will be playing at the Etihad Stadium for the first time this season as well. Caldy Rugby Union Club are preparing for one of the biggest games in their history, with the Wirral side travelling to Sale Sharks in the Premiership Rugby Cup. Caldy play in the Championship, which is a league below Sale, and the team's vice-captain told me it will be a very special occasion for everyone at the club.
It's something that you dream about. You know, it's the pinnacle for some players to play at AJ Bell on a Friday night under lights.
How proud a moment is it, no matter what the result is, for everyone at the club?
Yeah, massive. I actually, did a team talk last night and said, it's not about potentially us as players. It's the under 8s all the way through to, the senior coach and the other senior players that aren't actually in the 23. About representing those players as well, and those people who are involved at the club. And there's people at the club who've been involved in the club, for over 50 years.
It's a huge deal for some of the players. You'll have lots of friends, lots of family there as well.
Yeah, obviously there's. Tickets were going out like left, right and centre yesterday. Everyone was trying to get hold of tickets and buying tickets when the teams got released, and the players are really excited.
They'll have some elite players on show. It's a tall order. Do you think you can win?
Yeah, you always go into every game thinking you win. We've got our own game plan. We've got a few tricks up our sleeve. We've reviewed them. We know what's coming. It was a close game against Doncaster last week. We've beat Doncaster over the last couple of years. So if we put our 80-minute performance across, no reason why we can't win.
Well, listen, enjoy it, and thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
The Sharks will be strong favourites, Annabelle, but as Nathan was saying there, win or lose, as long as they can enjoy it, it'll be a great occasion for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard, thank you very much. Now next, the fascinating story of a village built for war heroes. The Westfield War Memorial Village was officially opened 100 years ago to give men and women and their families a home after returning injured from war. Leading national figures at the time, though, were reluctant to open it, apart from Field Marshal Earl Douglas Haig, who accepted the invitation. The photograph, taken at the time, is to be recreated this weekend in honour of Remembrance Sunday. Eunice Muller takes up the story.
The Westfield War Memorial Village, a community for veterans where disabled, their families and the injured have somewhere to live. Officially opened in 1924, today there are still 80 houses to support the armed forces. Frank Hughes served in Northern Ireland where he was injured. He moved here last year.
And that bond doesn't break, and that is carried on here in the village. So any of us that need help, just ask. Knock on a door, a neighbour will help.
Around 1.8 million soldiers, sailors and airmen came home with some level of disability after the First World War. Sir Thomas Story, a local industrialist, owned Westfield House and 12 acres of land.
That's my grandfather.
And he wanted to help.
He was of that age, that vintage, where people respected the sacrifices that others had made for the freedom of Britain. He would have set it up with the ambition that it would continue forever.
An iconic photograph was taken of Field Marshal Earl Haig at the official opening of the settlement. Thousands of people turned out to see the man who led the British and Empire contribution to the Allied victory.
To mark the centenary of the visit, the trustees of the Westfield charity are hoping to recreate the photograph taken here on the bowling green, and they want people to turn up to recreate that moment.
It wasn't unique at the time, but the fact that it survived and 100 years later is still doing what it was effectively set up to do does make it quite unusual. So most of these kind of settlements have long since fallen by the wayside.
Tomorrow the photo will be retaken to give us a modern representation of this village. On Sunday, Anne Bouncefield, whose father lived and died here, says the village will gather again to remember the people who have died in wars around the world.
They will march down, there will be soldiers out there. Someone sometimes plays the last post, because there'll be someone there hopefully to play that. And it's a very sad day, but it's also very community orientated. People want to be there.
Westfield remains more than just a place to live. It provides a sense of belonging and is needed as much today as a century ago. Jonas Muller, BBC Northwest Tonight, Lancaster.
Lovely. Now, we want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has donated this year to Children in Need. And the 1,000 Mile Challenge has actually raised £100,000. So absolutely brilliant to everyone that took part as well. 42 BBC local radio stations across the country joined forces to take the plunge for Pudsey this week. I'm sure you've been seeing it across the week. And our 3 stations here in the Northwest smashed their share of the total. We'll find out later if the 1,000 mile mark has been reached. Kay, who's lurking over there somewhere, waiting to do her weather, is a very keen swimmer herself. She was poolside to meet the teams at the finish line.
Kev Dwala could barely swim a few weeks ago, but with his Radio Merseyside team, Kev, Finn and the Swimmeroonies, he smashed their 24 miles in 24 hours challenge, swimming 4.5 miles. And his son paid him a surprise visit from Brighton.
Kev, yes, you weren't expecting this?
No, this is my son. Surprised me this morning.
I mean, what an achievement.
Yeah, it is. I'm really, really proud. But it's a massive, massive message to everybody out there that if you're scared of water or if you don't swim, I advocate that you do it, you take it up. It's great for the body, great for the mind. And if I can do it, then anyone can do it.
Merrin Robinson was a secret weapon and made the biggest splash, swimming 9 miles.
I'm beyond tired, but I'm also so proud. I'm so proud of the team, of myself, of what we've done this for.
Then it was the turn of Radio Manchester at Sharples High School in Bolton, with help from super sub Richard Askin.
Just 9 lengths, thanks to Richard to go.
Oh, brilliant. Will you watch that brew making on? Because you've got to make something.
Gas drink water from their sport team brought it home.
Oh no, I set myself a challenge that I was going to do it all today, no matter how long it took me, and it did take me ages, but I'm glad I just did it in the end.
These guys really put themselves out there and committed. It's a real testament to themselves, really. They should be really, really proud.
When I met Radio Lancashire's travel reporter, Perrin Bagan, she was really struggling. But look at her go.
Perrin, you did it! How are you feeling?
I'm just relieved it's over and done with. I'm so happy.
You look so happy.
Honestly, listen, not long ago you couldn't bear to put your face in the water. You've done it. How does that feel?
I'm so glad I can finally get my face in the water. At least that's something that's come out of this.
Well well done to everybody. You can find out how to donate now at bbc.co.uk/swim. Here she is again. I mean, we talked about how brilliantly you did last night, but I mean, Perrin, absolutely fantastic. She had a really good stroke. She looked like she was brilliant at the end of it.
So nervous.
Yeah.
Honestly, she did so. Everyone did so well.
Yeah, they
the
did.
Atmosphere and everyone that was there, it was amazing. So thank you so much.
And all that money for children in need.
Of course. Now then, let's take a look at the weather. We talked yesterday a little bit about potentially seeing some spells of sunshine. Well, the good news is we did see some. Start here in Bolton. Ali, I'm afraid you saw the cloud. However, in Rochdale, look at that, blue skies. More to come, especially as we start next week. Thank you for sending those photographs in. If you would like to send me yours, then do join me on socials, or better yet, become a BBC Weather Watcher. Let me know what it's like in your part of the world this weekend. Bit of a tale of two halves. I think tomorrow's going to be very similar to today. Some of us will see some spells of sunshine, outbreaks of rain coming up for Remembrance Sunday, and then we start to get clearer skies and sunshine for next week. So you can see the fronts that are coming through. Won't get to us really until Sunday. Cloudy, a little bit damp, more especially towards the end of the day. But then high pressure is firmly in charge. Now, overnight tonight, we repeat the performance that we've done for, the past 11, 12 days. A lot of cloud out and about. I think for the Pennines, for the Fells, you're looking at misty, murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and drizzle as well. Slightly cooler than it was last night. Temperatures down to between about 5 and 7 degrees with a light breeze. A lot of cloud out and about tomorrow morning. Again, thick enough for some outbreaks of light rain and drizzle. But once again, further west you are, for the likes of coastal parts of Lancashire and Merseyside, seeing that breaking up. Some spells of sunshine, highs of 9 or 10 degrees. Remembrance Sunday, we've got that warm front at first, a lot of cloud, a little bit drizzly. Then behind it, we start to get the cold front coming in. So towards the end of the day, we are looking at some heavier spells of rain. Top temperatures around about 12 or 13 degrees. That all clears through, and a much fresher, brighter, lovely day to come on Monday, with temperatures around about 11 or 12 degrees, and it stays settled then for parts of next week.
Oh, I'm glad to see those suns.
I know, we've missed the sun.
It's been so grey. It's been awful, hasn't it?
Benign, but calm. Quiet, Annabelle.
Yeah, well, yes.
We
Calm
don't like drama.
No, not in the weather, we don't. That's it from us. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Take care.
No.